Anyway, so Ben Shapiro was convinced that Disney is losing the culture war. I'm still not 100% I have ever cared about what the culture war is, or if I should ever care about what the culture war is. It's always just this vague post about the different morals that he does or does not like for all fairly arbitrary reasons. But before we get into that, before we talk about anything Bibi Shabibi related, let's go ahead and take a look at the fan art section. First one we have here is from XLR. Said, hope you all like it. It's a Viking Suris. And then we have Suris Cat branded coffee, as well as a chubby Nekosaurus in a burgundy dress, all from XLR. As always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop to the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and get into Ben Shapiro's face.
Well, back in the 1960s, there was a group of people who were called the neoconservatives. This is not like how we talk about neoconservatives today, meaning people who are just sort of hawkish on foreign policy and pretty vague about the terminology. They're a group of people who had decided that they were conservative mainly because they were liberals who'd been mugged by reality. They didn't shift their social policy. What they really realized is that their policies with regard to crime and foreign policy had been a gigantic fail. Well, we are about to see a wave of people who are returning to reality because it turns out that the left has been mugged by reality and continues to be mugged by reality. And we're seeing it all over the spectrum. We are.
So wait, what does mugged by reality mean? What does that word mean? Cheeky Turtle, thank you very much for the follow. But like, that statement, that feels, I feel like I've heard that statement from someone before, but not in this particular, I mean, in this context basically, but not this way? I've heard like being gaslit by reality before in this case. Mug like being attacked and having stuff stolen. Yeah, but by reality? I don't know. Let's see what Benny Boy's point is. Maybe he's got a point.
We're seeing it in the media. We are seeing it in politics. We are seeing it with regard to places like Disney. So yesterday, Chris Rufo, who's done just yeoman's work in exposing
why it always comes back to Chris Rufo. It always comes back to him. I did the video way early on showing that this would all link back to Chris Rufo when it came to the trans panic that's been going on. And of course, here we are.
The political indoctrination that has now become part and parcel of the Disney brand. Rufo released tape that he had obtained of an all-hands Disney meeting reintroducing old and now new CEO Bob Iger. Now, Iger is very much to the left, so much so that there was talk a few years ago about the possibility that Bob Iger might actually throw his hat into the ring for the Democratic presidential nomination. There's only one problem for Bob Iger and his wild left perspectives on life, and that is that in taking over Disney again, the stock price of Disney has dumped completely. So, Disney stock...
I wonder if he keeps that exact same thought process when it comes to Twitter and Tesla and literally anything that Musk touches these days. Yeah, known human garbage, Chris Rufo.
Stock was about $183, 47 cents, September 17th, 2021. Today, it is at $94.69. So it has been sliced in about half over the course of the last year and a half or so.
So let's go ahead and double check him on that, because there could be a lot of reasons for that. But let's see here. Disney stock prices. And let's take a look and see what their trends have been over the last 5 years. And what we'll find when we look at the Disney trends over the last 5 years is at the start of the pandemic, Disney stock started to rise. And then during the height of the pandemic, the Disney stock maintained in its very, very high place. And then as we went to our current version of the pandemic, where COVID has become more endemic to society, where people are adjusting to it more, now the stock price is starting to stabilize here, which is about its 2019 stock prices. Its stock is sitting at about what its 2018 and 2019 stocks were sitting. So Ben Shapiro wants to say that, oh yeah, Disney's stocks have tanked. They're in a terrible place, but realistically, they're not in that much of a worse place than they were in the 2018s and 2019s. I wonder if Ben Shapiro knows that the idea of perpetual upward motion of stocks and of value for companies and of revenue for businesses, the idea that we can perpetually make that line go up is a fantasy. In general, it is impossible for us to make that line go up in perpetuity, because eventually the zero-sum game of economics kicks in and people run out of money. But that line gotta go up. Laura DeBrand says, who is this Rufo character? Ah, okay, cool. Let me tell you about Chris Rufo. So, do you remember the CRT panic? You know how we don't talk about CRT anymore, and we're all like, all of the culture war nonsense is currently on trans issues? LGBTQ issues? Chris Rufo is the one who started the CRT moral panic. The critical race theory moral panic, that was started by Chris Rufo. He was the one that injected that into our moral discourse by hopping on Fox News, running the conservative media circuit, and utilizing Twitter and the internet. He was able to get the moral panic about CRT running in full force. He is the one who is solely responsible for the origination of that. The current moral panic that is focused so heavily on LGBTQ issues, again, is also a baby of Chris Rufo. He made it known a year ago that he was going to be shifting the wheels, the cogs of the moral panic machine of conservatism to that of anti-LGBTQ issues in full force, with a focus on young trans and gay kids. So, as a result of Chris Rufo's machinations, we have the current conservative media landscape as we know it right now. And in 5 years, when conservatives are pissed off about something else, you can bet it's probably going to be Rufo who's running that show as well, because that's what he does. And Ben Shapiro is going to sit here and just suck him off about all of this, because he loves these kinds of moral panics, because guess what conservative moral panics do? They make Ben Shapiro money. Conservative moral panics make people like Matt Walsh, make people like Ben Shapiro, make people who love grifting on that lots and lots and lots and lots of money. So, let's go ahead and say, for a minute, that you are, and oh, by the way, for the person who's going to be in my comment section saying that we're 10 minutes into the video and we've only gotten a minute and a half into Ben Shapiro's video, remember, you're not watching Ben Shapiro's video, you're watching my video. I take as much of the time as I damn well please. Preempting that comment, because I know you guys do that. Anyways, now that we're done preempting that comment, let's say that you are the confused, center-right-leaning, moderate individual, right? You are confused, you don't quite know how you feel about the current way the world is moving. And you've got two options. You can fall down the left-wing rabbit hole or the right-wing rabbit hole. If you fall down the left-wing rabbit hole, you'll probably slam into people like me, Zan, Shark, Vosh, ContraPoints. You know the drill. You're going to slam into us. Likely. And if you do so, whatever you're worried about, we're probably going to try to contextualize. Let's say it's trans issues. If it's trans issues, how do we tend to handle those? Well, typically by looking at the data on trans people and being as human as we possibly can about it. Now, what happens if you instead fall down the right-wing rabbit hole, the rabbit hole that contains your Nick Fuentes, your Matt Walsh, your Ben Shapiro, all of those people? If you fall down that rabbit hole, instead you get people telling you that, yes, the world is going crazy, and you are the only sane one. And don't worry, you're in the small, special group of people who know the world is insane with you. And that group of people is going to do everything in their power to treat you as if you are not in an echo chamber, but you are in a safe place where the craziness of the world can't touch you. Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and everybody, they love moral panics because moral panics lets them plant their flag and put up the guidepost and say, look, come to us. Come to where we are. If you come to where we are, we can show you the way back to sanity, the way where there are two genders and one definition of marriage, and black people, they damn well know their place. They're going to give you the world of 50, 60, 70 years ago, and they're going to feed that world to you on a silver platter. Whereas if you fall down the left-wing rabbit hole, the people you're going to find are going to say, hey, we're charging forward. Here's a comfortable way to exist as we charge forward. Nitros, I'm not repeating what I said a minute ago. I'm on crappy hotel Wi-Fi, and I am recording a video. Can't do the repeat thing. Red Jugger says, searches on terrible hotel Wi-Fi. If you think you're too far behind, refresh or pause or unpause. Yep. But, anywho, thank you, Deco, for the drink. Let's go ahead and get back to the video itself, now that I've framed the way that I see the right and the left both dealing with the concerned moderate. Sylvia Silica, thank you for redeeming your points for an wall.
Not even year, about a year, is really when it started to dump. And one of the reasons for this is because Disney decided to go woke. So part of this has to do with the...
Disney decided to go woke, and so their stock prices tanked. This is going to be the go woke, go broke thing all over again. Let's see here. Why are Disney stock prices down? Disney reported an operating loss for its streaming segment of $1.47 billion for the quarter, and about $800 million more for the year earlier period, while revenue increased 8% to $4.9 billion otherwise. The company attributed the increase to higher losses at Disney Plus and ESPN Plus, and lower results at Hulu. So it basically just seems competition. That's what it seems like. It's just competition that's happening. But let's see here. Disney stock is down 37%. The company has made significant changes to its business with a major push into the streaming industry. The move paid off as Disney overtook Netflix. However, Kidder Doodle says Disney prices are down due to the acquisition of Fox. They paid way too much and lost the biggest planned part of the deal, the streaming platform in Europe. So this really comes down to streaming. This all comes down to streaming. See, when somebody like Ben Shapiro grabs the headline, Disney stock prices fall, his immediate push is going to be to tell you that it's because Disney's going woke, so they're going broke, because that's a nice, simple, clean explanation that if you are the concerned moderate, you can grasp onto and go, yes, you're right, the world is so strange. Disney is tearing it apart. They're losing money because of it, which is really weird, because if the world is moving in this really weird progressive direction and therefore the money sits there, Disney going there would make financial sense. But according to Ben, it doesn't make financial sense, despite the fact that all the George Soros money is flowing on that end of the aisle, apparently.
Dynamics of streaming and the fact that as the economy starts to slow down and people spend less money on entertainment and people go back to work, that they are picking up less streaming services, sure. But that does not explain why Disney has disproportionately been slapped directly across the chops by the American public.
So, again, we can attribute a small dip, yes, to the fact that the American public is changing the way they operate. They are needing less entertainment, and they're going back to work. As Ben Shapiro said, we can do that. But we can also point out that there are other things like the Fox acquisition that came in. And yeah, 20th Century Fox, not Fox News. There are acquisitions and brand deals that have happened behind closed doors that have caused Disney to lose the revenue that it has. Simply put, Ben, sometimes it's not these people don't share my ideology and therefore they lost money. Sometimes it is businesses did business things behind closed doors and then business repercussions happened. Sometimes it begins and ends with money, and ideology isn't even part of the conversation. But Ben doesn't want to sell you that. Ben wants to sell you on a fake culture war that him and his cronies have manufactured.
The reason for that is because Disney has made clear that its priorities are not your priorities. Now, there is no bigger old Disney fan than I. I am an enormous old Disney fan.
Sure. Here's where we get the virtue signal.
We owned all the tapes growing up. We used to listen in my house. I shared a room with 3 of my siblings, and my parents, to put us to sleep, would put on like a small cassette tape of the music from Beauty and the Beast, like every single night. The goal was to fall asleep before you hit the Gaston song where he sings about killing the beast. Right, that was the goal. But we were huge Disney fans, and that meant that the biggest treat in the world when I was a kid was mom and dad take us out of school, and they take us to Disney. And that was like the best thing. And then when I became an adult and I had kids of my own, we became Disney annual pass members over in California. And then when we moved to Florida, one of the big draws was, okay, we still have Disneyland 2.5 hours away, which is awesome. And it's just fantastic. And again, I love all the old Disney product. I love the music. I love the movies. Like, this is one of the great American companies of all time, Disney. But it became clear over the past few years that they were now attempting to inject woke politics into what they were doing.
Can you give a couple examples of this? Is it the 531st first ever gay character in ex-Disney thing? I wonder. What kind of woke politics have been injected in? Let's hear.
Particularly with regard to LGBT issues. And just a few months ago, Chris Rufo revealed an all-hands Disney meeting in which people were openly bragging about injecting a quote-unquote not-at-all-secret gay agenda into Disney content. And that followed hard on Disney injecting itself directly into politics in Florida for no apparent reason.
Are you going to play the tape where that happened? No? Okay, I guess we're going to have to go find that tape now. Hold on. Chris Rufo, Disney tape, gay agenda. Let's see here. All right. Let's see here. Disney execs promote not-so-secret gay agenda in leaked internal vid. Oh dear, I wonder how bad this actually is.
Like, I love Disney's content. I grew up watching, all of the classics. They have been a huge, informative part of my life. But at the same time, I worked at small studios most of my career, and I'd heard, you can hear whispers. I'd heard things like, oh, they won't let you show this at a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little, sus when I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite of what I had heard. On my little pocket of, Proud Family Disney TVA, the showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and, our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so I feel like I felt like it was, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last they are turning it around, they're going hard. And then all that momentum that I felt, that sense of I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss, let's in the background start, I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud family. But like, I just was like, no one would stop me, and no one was trying to stop me.
That's it? That's it?
I'm here as a mother of two queer children, actually. One transgender child and one pansexual child, and also as a leader. And that was the thing that really got me, because I have heard so much from so many of my colleagues over the course of the last couple of weeks, in open forums and through emails and phone conversations. And I feel a responsibility to speak, not just for myself, but for them. To all of us. We had an open forum last week at 20th where, again, the home of really incredible, groundbreaking LGBTQIA stories over the years, where one of our execs stood up and said, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And I realized, oh, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters, and not have to be about gay stories. And so that's been very eye-opening for me.
Wait. So she literally just said that... Hold on. She literally just said she just wants to be able to put gay characters in stories without having to make them gay stories. That's it. She just wants the ability to put characters in stories that happen to be gay. Apparently, also, there's a point in here where she says that, she wants a minimum of 50% of characters to be LGBTQI+ and racial minorities. You know what happens when you have 50% of your cast as white straight people and 50% of your cast as minorities of mixed groups? You get a pretty basic makeup of how the usual United States looks. So weird, right? It's so weird that happens when you do that. This is what Ben Shapiro's so upset about? This? Of all the things he could be upset about, this is the most milquetoast, basic-ass shit. Do we even need to watch the rest of his video? Do we need to look at any more of what he has to say? Because, bruh, this is the most basic level milquetoast shit. And this is what he freaks out about. Okay, I told you earlier in the video, if you are the concerned moderate, and you are worried about the world and the crazy way that it's going, there are two angles you can take usually. The left-wing take is going to be one largely of education. The right-wing take is going to be one largely of alarmism. Either you can learn about queer issues and become accustomed to living around people who are various levels of queer, or you can go the right-wing way and freak out all the time about the myriad of ways in which the world you once knew is imploding, even though it's not, even though literally nothing is changing. Gay people have been here the whole time. Trans people have been here the whole time. The only difference is that they're able to come out of the closet now. But they were already your neighbors. They were already your friends. They just weren't comfortable telling you about that. And when you walk down that conservative rabbit hole, you will find yourself encountering fewer and fewer of your friends that are willing to come out to you about those important issues. Half of my family doesn't know I'm polyamorous. And by half my family, I mean my entire family, except for my mom. My entire family does not know. Because were I to tell my family that I'm polyamorous, I would get a litany of issues thrown my way. You're just trying to chase tail wherever you happen to go. You're actually just trying to be a whore. You're trying to be no different than your father, and look at all of his failed relationships. That's what I would get. That's what I would get. I am very much in the closet with me being polyamorous to a majority of my family because I don't want to deal with those issues. Likewise, any of your friends, and maybe even your family, who think that you are the person who will cause them those issues, they won't come out to you. The further and further down that rabbit hole you go, the harder and harder it is for the people you care about to trust you with stuff like that. And if you want to be the type of person who people cannot reveal who they truly are around you, lest they be judged, if that's what you want your legacy to be, if that's how you want to be remembered when you're on your deathbed, then I guess I can't really stop you. I can only say that when I see people like Ben Shapiro bitching about the culture war and making an entire video about how Disney is trying to insert a gay agenda and everything, and then when I look at the actual videos that he's talking about, it is the most basic-ass, milquetoast, bare bones, just lowest level representation possible. Not even wanting stories to be about gay themes, just wanting characters that are gay to just be in stories. That's it. That's the extent of it. That's what he's upset about. When you fall down that right-wing rabbit hole, you give yourself excuses to be upset about the most baby bitch things. And make no mistake, being upset, Matt, about stuff like this, you know what I'm talking about if you still watch my content, is the most bare-bones baby bitch stuff you possibly can do. It's pathetic. So, maybe don't fall down that rabbit hole. Maybe walk down the side of education instead. Because when you do that, you can end up having those conversations. You can be that beacon to somebody who wants to come out. You can be somebody's support system. As opposed to just being a judgmental prick, functionally. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. I know we didn't get into much of the video, but now that we know what the gist of the video is, I don't think repeating myself 15 more times by watching the rest of Ben's video is going to do us any good, now that we've already gone into everything. So let me know what you think in the comments section below, and as always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here.